colleges and universities in the U.S. So all right, so to start off our conversation, it's really important that we are all on the same page when we talk about financial aid. There's some misconceptions out there about what exactly financial aid is. So as we talk about it tonight, I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page as far as what financial aid means. So financial aid is any grant, scholarship, loan, or paid employment to help a student pay for their college expenses. So a lot of times when people hear financial aid, they right away think about the free money that's given to you to help you go to school. But financial aid is a little bit bigger umbrella that also encompasses, like we said, the loans or paid employment as well. All of those things fall into the category of financial aid. Financial aid can come from different sources, from the government, from the state, from your college, and from other outside organizations. Sorry, we have some people joining us online, and I guess they can't hear me, so I will keep shouting and talking into the mic. So hopefully everybody can hear me. Let me know if you can. And really the intent of financial aid is to make college available to students from all different backgrounds. It's not just about your income and how much money you make. They take into account a lot of things to see what you're eligible for financial aid, like your household size, how many people are in college, your assets, investments, things like that. So a lot of times people will just say, oh, I make too much money to qualify for financial aid, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just your income. They take a variety of factors into account to try their best to make sure that college is available to everybody. So who is eligible to receive financial aid? You need to demonstrate financial need, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. You also need to be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, which means either a U.S. national or permanent resident. If you're not a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, there are still plenty of organizations offering scholarships to students. A lot of like international students qualify for scholarships, just not for the federal aid, which is what we're mainly talking about here tonight. You need to have a valid social security number. If you're male, you need to be registered with Selective Service. And then you need to be enrolled or accepted in an eligible program. So we are quickly going to run through the main types of financial aid programs out there so that you guys know just all the different types of aid available to you to help you pay for school. So first off is the grants, the fun one that everybody wants to talk about because that is your free money that you don't have to pay back. So anything that's labeled as a grant is going to be your free money. A lot of schools, institutions offer grants to students. There are federal grants available to you. The biggest, most common one that you might have heard of is the federal Pell Grant. And then also states have their own grants. So Here in Illinois, we have the Monetary Award Program, or MAC grant, so you may have heard of that as well if you're an Illinois resident. Pretty much most grants are also need-based. So we're going to talk about the FAFSA in a little bit, but based on your financial aid application, you would have to demonstrate financial need to qualify for the grant money. Another main type of financial aid are your loans. So anything that's labeled as a loan, pay close attention to. This is money that you're borrowing that you have to pay back. So a loan may be awarded as part of your financial aid package. Again, just because it's in a financial aid package doesn't mean it's just free money. Anything labeled as a loan does need to be paid back, usually with interest. There are a few main different types of loans. All students who complete the FAFSA are eligible for federal direct loans. These are guaranteed to you as long as you're enrolled at least half-time in an eligible program. So you do have some guaranteed loan eligibility when you apply for financial aid. Typical amounts if you're a freshman for dependent students is about $5,500 for the year, and for independent students about $9,500 for the year. So again, these are guaranteed, but they do put a cap on how much you can take each year. Other types of main loans that are available for dependent students, there is the Federal Parent Plus loan. This is a loan that a parent can take out for the student. This type of loan is credit-based, so the student or the parent would need to be approved based on their credit history. But the parent can borrow up to as much as is needed to cover the costs of schooling. And then the main type of loan is a private or alternative loan. This is a credit-based loan that the student would apply for and take out. Again, credit-based, so the student would need to be approved for it, but they can borrow as much as is needed to cover their tuition and their costs. So you may have heard of different lenders. Kendall works directly with private loan lenders like Sallie Mae, Wells Fargo, PNC, banks like that, offering private student loans. The third main type of financial aid program is the Federal Work-Study Program. So again, this is a need-based program that you would have to qualify for, but it's for employment on campus where you can earn money pretty much just like any regular job to help pay for your tuition. Typically, it would be about 20 hours per week, jobs on campus that can be flexible around your school schedule. For example, Kendall employs federal work-study students in a lot of our departments like our events team, academic advising, student life department, and hopefully to help gain some skills towards your program of study as well. And our next main type of financial aid are scholarships. So there's a ton of outside organizations out there offering students scholarships. They're going to take work. Usually they require essays, maybe a GPA requirement, but there is tons of scholarship money out there for you. Again, scholarships like grants are free money that you don't have to pay back. So of course you want to get as many scholarships as possible. You can find scholarships all year long, but most of them, a lot of them are available in the spring. Most traditional schools start in the fall. So there's a ton of scholarships that open up and are available in the springtime to get students ready for the fall. So keep that in mind because that's right around the corner. You're going to find a lot of scholarships out there. So now in the next couple of months is a great time to start searching for scholarships. And just as a resource, if you haven't already visited the kendall.edu website, we do have a whole financial aid section as well as tuition assistance with scholarship resources there as well. So if you're looking at applying for scholarships, great place to start right on the Kendall website. Okay, so we've talked about what financial aid is and different types of financial aid programs, grants versus loans versus work study. But how do you actually go about applying for financial aid? So it all starts, very first step is the FAFSA. So probably a lot of you have heard of the FAFSA before, and maybe some of you haven't, and this is brand new to you, but the FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So very first thing I want to point out to you is the first word of that is free. So unfortunately, there are some scam websites out there. FAFSA.gov is the only correct website. Applying for financial aid is 100% free. So if you think you're applying for financial aid and they're asking you for payment or your credit card information or anything like that, stop. You're at the wrong website. It's free to apply. The FAFSA year runs July 1st through June 30th. And you do need to do a new FAFSA every year that you're in school. So you're going to redo it every year. And the FAFSA comes out every October 1st. So you can see at the bottom, we'll skip to that to show where, depending on when you start school, which FAFSA you would fill out. So if you are planning to start college anytime between now and June 30th, your FAFSA is already available. It came out October 1st, 2016. So again, if you're thinking about starting school between now and June 30th, you should jump on FAFSA.gov and go ahead and do the 2016-2017 FAFSA. But that year ends June 30th. So if you're not planning to start college until July 1st of 2017 through June 30th of 2018, your FAFSA, oh, sorry, I apologize. The 2016-2017 has already been out for the year. The 2017-2018 was released this past October, so yours is available if you're starting between July 1st, 2017 and June 30th, 2018. So those two FAFSAs are both open on FAFSA.gov right now. So you can use that as reference depending on when you're planning to start school, which one you would fill out. If you are not planning to start school for a little ways down the road, sometime after June 30th of 2018, your FAFSA is not out quite yet. You would look for it coming up this next October. And then the FAFSA is signed and submitted electronically, so it's pretty easy. It takes about 3 business days to process, so pretty quick to get that all submitted. Usually takes between half an hour and 45 minutes to complete it, so nothing too painful. And just so you're familiar, this is what the FAFSA.gov website looks like. If you have not been to it, that's the home page there. So when you're filling out the FAFSA, things that you are going to need to make it easy for you and make sure that you can get it all submitted in the first shot. You're going to need to create your FSA ID, your Federal Student Aid ID. The website will walk you through that, but that's what you're going to use to electronically sign your FAFSA. It's also your ID for if you're going to take out federal student loans, you're going to need that for your login as well. So you use it for a lot of your federal loan and federal aid things, but that'll be one of your first steps. If you don't already have one, if you have not completed a FAFSA before, the FAFSA website will walk you through creating your FSA ID. You're going to need to know your social security number or your alien registration number. You're going to need to know your tax information. So having your tax return and your W-2s on hand is going to make filling it out a lot easier. Or the FAFSA has what's called the data retrieval tool, which allows you to import your taxes directly from the IRS into the FAFSA. It is available to most students. There's some circumstances where you can't use it, but many can. Highly, highly recommend using this data retrieval tool and just linking your taxes from the IRS. Makes it way simpler, faster, and ensures that you don't make any mistakes entering in your tax information. You're also going to want to have with you when you're filling it out any records of untaxed income. The FAFSA does ask about any untaxed income that you have, so you'd want to have that available. FAFSA is also going to ask about cash savings, investments, business income. So having all of that income information on you will make filling it out easier as well. We will talk about independent versus dependent in a second, but if you are independent, you're going to have to fill all this out for yourself and your spouse if you have one. If you're dependent, then you're going to fill in all this information for you and your parents. So as I promised, talk about independent versus dependent. So this is the government definition for financial aid purposes. So a lot of people ask if it matters if your parents claim you on their taxes, if you live with your parents, things like that. This is completely separate. This is the government definition for financial aid purposes. So the government considers a student independent if they are at least 24 years old, if they're married, if they have legal dependents that they provide the financial support for, if both parents are deceased, if you're a veteran, then you would be considered independent. If none of these things apply to you, then you're going to be considered dependent, and you would include your parents' information on the FAFSA. So in general, until you turn 24, they're going to consider you dependent. Doesn't matter if you live on your own, if your parents don't help you with any of your bills, if you're financially independent, you will be dependent until you turn 24 for the most part. And just a quick overview so you know what's ahead when you fill out the FAFSA. These are the main sections that you are going to fill out. They will ask you about demographic information, and then your college selection. So in order for schools to get access to your FAFSA information and to be able to see what you're eligible for and put together a financial aid package, you need to give the schools access. So during the college selection section of the FAFSA, you can add up to 10 different schools. So you want to put your schools on there so that they're able to get to your FAFSA information. And then it'll be the dependency determination. So yeah, question? Great. Great question. So the question was, if you've already submitted the FAFSA, but you might be visiting new schools, maybe you didn't add any schools at first, or you added some, now you want to add more. Basically, how do you update the schools or add schools? So you would just go back to FAFSA.gov, log back in, and just go back to that college school selection tab. And it's going to give you 10 spots for it. So if you have not already used up your 10 spots, you're just going to add more. If you have used all your 10 spots, then you're going to have to decide if if you've decided you're not interested in some that you visited, maybe remove those, and then you can add more. But typically students don't need more than 10, but yeah, you're just going to log back in, add, remove whatever schools you want to. And then important to note, really, if you make any FAFSA corrections, including the school selection, there is a save button and a submit button. You want to make sure that you submit it. If you just save it, those changes are not going to get processed. You do want to make sure anytime you need to change or update or correct that you fully submit the FAFSA again. And you will get a confirmation screen that says it's been submitted. The dependency determination, like we talked about, the FAFSA will ask you a series of questions to determine if you're independent or dependent. Based on that, then I'll know if it needs to ask you about student and spouse information or student and parent information. It's going to ask you about your household information. So how many people are in the household, how many are currently attending college, items like that. And then, like we talked about, your financial information, so your taxes, your untaxed income, your investments, assets, all of that information. And then the last step is going to be your electronic signature to submit it. So now you've filed your FAFSA. What do you do next? Well, if you want to, you can check the status of your FAFSA, just like we said, logging back into FAFSA.gov. Once it's processed, you are going to be sent your student aid report. Make sure whatever email you put on your FAFSA is an email that you check regularly. You do want to review your student aid report, make sure all the information looks correct. If not, like we said, you can always log back in and make any corrections. It takes about 3 business days to process. At that point, the schools that you have added to your school selection will get access to it, and they'll be able to evaluate your financial aid eligibility. So the FAFSA is what tells the schools what grants you might qualify for, what loans you might qualify for, and helps them put together the financial aid package for you. Each school is going to provide an individual financial aid package, and most likely it's not going to look the same at all schools. Depending on how much that school costs, depending on their programs, depending on if they're semesters or quarters or trimesters, that's all going to change what your aid looks like. So you will receive an individual financial aid package from each school showing you what you qualify for. So a few quick tips with applying for financial aid. Like we said, a lot of people right away want to just say, I make too much money to qualify. It doesn't hurt anything to just fill out the FAFSA. If you only end up qualifying for loans and you don't want to take loans, you're not obligated to anything. So it doesn't hurt anything. We always encourage students to go ahead and fill out the FAFSA, see what you qualify for. They estimated that about 38% of Illinois high school graduates did not do a FAFSA, leaving over 94 million in Pell Grant unclaimed. So that's free money that you could be using for college. Common question we get, if your parents are divorced or separated, which parent do you put on the FAFSA? It's going to be the parent that you live with the most in the last 12 months. That's the parent that should be included on the FAFSA. If you get stuck on a question while you're filling out the FAFSA, they do have several ways on there to get help. They do have a live chat where you can work with someone through the Department of Education to help with questions. There's help buttons along the way for most of the questions that you can just click on help. It'll explain what they're looking for more. So they're making it easier and easier to fill out. And again, once you submit the FAFSA for the first time, like we said, you have to do it every year, but it's going to get easier every year. You're able to do the FAFSA renewal once you've done it once, where it will pre-populate most of your information and in the following years, and you just have to go through it and make sure things are still correct and just update anything that needs to be updated. So that is the general financial aid process. We're going to look a little bit more specifically at Kendall's financial aid process. So our mission in our financial aid department here at Kendall is to provide you with excellent service from dedicated financial aid professionals who provide the knowledge and experience required to assist you with financing your education. So financial aid can be confusing. It can be a lot of paperwork, a lot of questions that come up. So we're here to help you one-on-one from start to finish, get you through the process. We're going to help you each step of the way. Here at Kendall, you're going to start off working with an enrollment advisor who's going to help you through the entire enrollment process, which will include outreach from the financial aid office. And as a quick overview, the main forms that you're going to work through to finish up your financial aid file, like we just went over, the FAFSA is really the jumping off point for you. Once your FAFSA is submitted and received by the school, then you're going to get your financial aid award letter from us. You're going to need to accept or decline your aid package. And then the other main forms to complete, if you are going to use federal student loans, there's two main federal documents. They're all done electronically, entrance counseling and your master promissory note. Entrance counseling basically goes over all the terms and conditions of the federal student loans, and your master promissory note, you're signing your promise to repay your loans when you're done with school. So those are your main loan forms if you do decide to use loans while attending school. Again, the federal student loans are guaranteed to you, but you do have to do some of this paperwork with the government to have those loans. And then I wanted to take a quick look as you're going through the process, getting ready for school, researching financial aid. Just take a quick look at a few websites that are really going to help you in your research and getting ready to pay for school. So the first one, if you haven't visited, is studentloans.gov. This is one of the main federal financial aid websites. This website is going to have a lot of information, really detailed and specific information about the different loan programs out there. So once you really start to dig in and decide if loans are a good option for you, this is a great website to know. It's also the website you're going to go to complete any of your loan paperwork. There's great information on there about loan repayment. So if you're wondering what happens when you're done with school, it has a calculator on there to help you figure out what your loan payments might look like when you're done with school. All important things to be researching as you're jumping into the financial aid process. Another really good website to know as you're going through the financial aid process is the National Student Loan Data System, or NSLDS. this is going to be the place that is the record of all federal loans you've ever taken from all schools. So all students have access to that if you have federal loan history. So if you've previously attended a school and used federal loans, then they're all going to be on there. It's important to keep track of your federal loans. It's important to know when you need to repay them, when your payments are due, who your loan servicer is. You don't pay your loans back to your school, you pay them back to a loan servicer. So all that information would be on NSLDS. So if you have already attended school and borrowed loans and you haven't been to this website, I highly recommend it. If you haven't yet, this is going to be one that you want to know while you're in school. Another great website to get you started is finaid.org. There's a really great tool on here. It's for college cost calculator. So to help you plan a budget, see what college is going to cost, what your financial aid package might look like, to help you plan. A lot of great tips on ways to save money for college. And then they also have a lot of scholarship resources. So like we talked about, the more free money you can get and the less you have to rely on loans, the better. So great scholarship resources on finaid.org. Um, ISAC, Illinois Student Assistance Commission. This is the state of Illinois website. How many people are Illinois residents? Most people because you're here. Great. So Illinois residents definitely want to visit isac.org. Again, a lot of scholarship resources on here, state-specific aid. I briefly mentioned before, the main state of Illinois scholarship or grant is called the MAP Grant Monetary Award Program. Is for Illinois residents. They do have to qualify based on the FAFSA. And typically they do have an early FAFSA cutoff. So usually you have to have your FAFSA submitted pretty early to qualify. The date does change every year. They don't announce it until that year. But it's always a good idea to get your FAFSA submitted as early as possible. Like we talked about, it comes out October 1st each year. So you want to submit it as early as possible. But another reason is to potentially qualify for the MAP grant. That is typically around $1,200 to $1,500 per quarter. So it's a really nice size grant. So you can learn more about that on their website. And last website, kendall.edu, if you have not visited yet. Again, we have an entire financial aid section with resources for you, more information about financial aid. Along with that, with the financial aid resources, also information about all the tuition reduction scholarships that Kendall specifically offers to students. So great to start looking through, see what you might qualify for. We have scholarships and awards ranging from 5% all the way up to 50% off of tuition for all different types of qualifications. So if you haven't checked that out yet, definitely a great place to look. And we have our scholarship page as well. For outside scholarships, all those organizations offering scholarships to students. We have tried to put together a list of ones that apply mostly to the programs that we offer. But all of the scholarship resources found there, we've already vetted. They're all trusted, good organizations. So if you're looking to start applying for scholarships, which I highly recommend, on the Kendall website, you can find a lot of great resources that you know can be trusted right there. So just so you have it, this is our contact information. We're here Monday through Friday. Also, if you didn't grab one, our business cards are on the table right over here, which also has our email and phone number. Of course, you can reach out to us if you have any questions coming up. We are here to help you with all of that. If anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer those. If you don't want to ask in front of the group, that's understandable. Myself and Erin will be around to answer one-on-one questions if you would like to do that. Additionally, like I said too, if you can't think of anything tonight or you don't feel like asking tonight, again, call or email us, and we can help you with one-on-one as well. So I will take your questions in a second, also letting you know that when we're done with questions, you probably heard, but we have the enrollment advisors here to do tours if you would like. So when we're done with group questions, I know, I think Corey is going to be leading a tour right away if you want to jump on that. Otherwise, if you want to stick around for a couple of minutes, ask myself and Erin any questions, run to the bathroom real quick. Then Dana will be grabbing the second tour a few minutes afterwards. So that's our game plan. Again, if there were group questions that I can help answer, yeah. No, so that's a great question. So the question was, do you only accept the outside scholarships that are specifically on the website? No, we accept any scholarships that you qualify for. Typically, the organization will send the money directly to the school, and then we'll apply it to your account. Once in a while, they'll send the money directly to the student, and then it would be up to you for you to pay that to us towards your tuition. But no, any scholarship you get, we will accept. There's really no limit on how many scholarships you can get. Of course, their work, you got to do the essays and the applications, but if you apply for a bunch of them, there's no limit on how many you can have come into us. So. That I don't know that scholarship specifically, but I can definitely take down your info and I can get back to you on that. Any other group questions I can help with? Oh. Oh. Okay, so the question is in regards to, I'm not 100% sure what we mean by reassessing, but if you're transferring, so financial aid does not automatically transfer from one school to another. You do need to have your financial aid set up specifically with that school. So if you already have your FAFSA done and the school that you're transferring to is not on your FAFSA, then you're going to want to go in and put their school code on so they can access it. And then that specific school will provide you with your financial aid package. The school that you're leaving will cancel out any financial aid you had in the future. So really, you just want to work with the specific school to get set up, but all the schools use the same FAFSA. So as long as you have that year's FAFSA done and the schools are on it, then that's what they're going to use to put together your aid package. So for financial aid for international students, so as I mentioned towards the start, most international students are not going to be eligible for federal or state aid, but certainly there's a lot of outside scholarships that do not limit to domestic versus international students. So really, my recommendation would be to, on the kendall.edu website, go through those scholarships. We do find a lot of ones that are open to international students because we do have a fairly large international population. So again, the Kendall scholarship page is a great starting point. Really, I mean, you can Google scholarships, think about your qualifications, your program of study, and start Googling them. Just use the general rule that legitimate scholarship organizations, again, applications are always going to be free. They're not going to ask you for credit card information. They're not going to ask you for bank account information, anything really personal like that. But there's no harm in just Googling scholarships, even specifically, Google scholarships for international students. Just be careful about giving out personal information. But again, the Kendall website's a great place to start to look at those scholarships. So do we offer scholarships to students who are out of state and online? Yeah, we don't really distinguish between in-state or out-of-state. Tuition is the same for in-state, out-of-state. Any of our Kendall discounts and scholarships, if you meet the qualifications, then you would be eligible for them. We don't particularly designate between in-state, out-of-state, or online. We do have one fully online program, the early childhood. This scholarships, all of our Kendall scholarships will state all of the requirements and qualifications on them. So I know there are a handful that are only open to certain programs, but it will state that directly on the website, but most are open to all of our programs. All right. Well, I appreciate so much you coming out tonight. Again, if you have anything that you'd like to ask, Aaron and I will be around. And then otherwise, we've got Corey and Dana to take you on the tours. Thank you so much.